Got that assembled. Now we're going to put our rings on. Most modern pistons will have 3 rings. You'll have a ring groove here, and a bigger one here. These are 1.5 millimeter, 1.5 millimeter, and 3 millimeter. Our oil control rings are here, and as the piston goes down, that crank is spinning, slinging oil all up on our cylinders. We don't want oil getting up here because the engine will smoke, foul out spark plugs and stuff like that. So as that piston goes down, it scrapes the oil off. The oil will go through these holes, come out the bottom, and come out the bottom of the piston and drop straight down here to where our oil pan fits. And so they're called oil scraper or oil control rings. Now these rings have to go on a certain way. So if we look at our manufacturers, I'm going to try to get close, hopefully you can see that. Oil expander gap. This is our oil expander. It's got a gap and it won't sit. We've got front, engine front. So it won't sit somewhere around 2 to 4 o'clock. So we'll put it about 2 o'clock here, 2 or 3 o'clock. Our gap is right here, front. Now we've got 2 little helper rings. Bottom oil rail gap. It won't sit about here, about 11 o'clock. Usually what I do, it goes under the bottom of that oil control ring. It goes under the bottom. Be careful and don't bend these. They are very easily bent, and don't let them scrape the piston. They're not very good or very strong. Alright, so we got that one. Notice that I went clockwise. With this one, I'm going to go counterclockwise. This is our top one. It goes down about 7 o'clock, down about right here. So this time we're going to go the opposite way, and they kind of do this to help them seat better, the best that I can find out. Now once you get that together, just kind of, you don't want to move it from basically its position. Just make sure that it moves freely. You can take some measurements. They like for you to take some measurements, but it takes some real thin feeler gauges, and what I have found in all my years, if I can do that with no burrs, no grabbing or anything, I'm usually in good shape. Alright, now second compression ring gap is going to be right here. These 2 gaps, this gap have to be 180 degrees apart. One's over here and one's over here. If they line up like that right there, you've got an open hole for air and fuel to go past these rings, down past the piston, down into your oil pan. You lose power, plus you've got gas now in your oil. Gas is a very good parts cleaner, and it will clean the oil off these bearings and cause engine wear very quickly, so you don't want that. Now I'm going to say something about these 2 piston rings. They look similar. If you look at them, they look similar. They will have a different kind of cut. Top ring, second ring. Notice the design difference. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'll kind of slowly move around and let you guys see that. But they are different. The easiest way to tell these apart is to look at this edge right here. Notice that one is black. Hopefully you can see that. That is black. That is your bottom control ring. This one is shiny. Notice the shine on it. It is your top ring. So if you get them confused, I label them. Number 8, top ring, 25 thousandths gap. I had to personally gap these. They go down in the cylinder like this. And then we measure that gap with feeler gauges. And we'll put that in there. Of course, there's a little bit more to it than that. And it's not in there even. But that's how you do that. So that tells me that that's 25 thousandths. Like I say, that piston ring's not level and stuff. But that's how you can tell them if you get them mixed up. The top one will be normally shiny. Now that's not always the case, but normally it is. Top ring is shiny. Second ring is black. Now, when we get ready to put these in, you can put them in with this side up or with that side up. These are normally marked hopefully this will show up. That says TS 3.575. That means that's 5 thousandths too big, and I had to file it down to get my gap. That goes up. Some of them will have a little dot. Some of them will have T for top, meaning top. I've seen them with triangles, squares, all kinds of stuff. But I know Molly puts a Molly M. They just put an M on theirs. So you need to look at whatever ring set you got and how they do it. These are total seal rings. Hopefully you guys can see that. I don't know if you can or not. Try to move that around, but there's some numbers there. Same with this. It's got some numbers. They're made a little bit different too. That way you can kind of identify which ring you got by that. But TS 3.575 here. Okay. So now what we're going to do is install these. So I'm going to take my tape off here. Ooh, that'd be good if I break it. All right, make sure that my numbers are facing up. And we'll take our ring expanders, and these don't work the best in the world. These are old expanders. They're good, but they were designed for the old 5/32 rings, which were much thicker, much more easily to grab a hold of than these new 1.5s, and some of them are even thinner than that. And so, you know, it just sometimes they give me a little bit of trouble, but we'll see. We'll see how we do here. Alright, let me pull that out just a little bit. And there we go. Now I'm going to make sure that I deburred that real good. Going to make that spin. Front, our F. Hope you can see that. Front, compression ring gap. Right here with this skirt. 90 degrees to the pin. There it is. My number is up. So that ring is installed correctly. Now we're going to do the same thing with this one. On off there. Sometimes these grip a little bit. I don't like tearing them. They leave glue on my ring. There we go. So we'll throw that off. I record those in a book that I keep, and the customer gets with all these specs and stuff in it. So I'm gonna make sure my number is up. Alright, so it is there. Making sure that it turns free. That turns free. They all look free. Good. That's what we wanted. So, making one more time. Number up. Gaps 180 degrees apart. So what we'll do now is we are going to get our bearings lubed up. Get our bearing again. Remember to get in the corners and the edges up here. Something else, I was reading about the 4.7 Mopars, the new ones, do not have this tang anymore. So be aware of that. You may, some of this newer stuff doesn't have a tang anymore. They said they could save 26 or 23 machining steps by getting rid of that little tang on the bearings. Crazy that they use that many machining steps to get that, but according to the article I read, that is what they are saying. Now, I use these brushes. You can use your finger. The only thing you got to watch about these brushes is the bristles will come out. See, I can pull them out. So what I have found, if I'm going to use these, is to not go this way. They'll get in between the ring and the groove and it'll yank them out. Is to get me a little oil. We got to oil the piston. Got to oil the piston so it slides in easy. Is to go perpendicular, which means 90 degrees to those grooves. Get it all over your rings, on your skirts, all the way around, and we should be good there. Doesn't take much. Alright, so now this baby should be ready to install. Alright, so we are going to turn it F to the front. Hopefully you can see that F right there. There are different kinds of ring compressors. This is one of the more expensive ones. These are about $40 a piece, and as you can see, it is specific to this bore size. This is a 20 over block. It's been bored 20 thousandths. So if you do a lot of different engines, these are not real practical because of the expense. You can get some that you squeeze together and knock them in. There's the old type that looks like a big band that squeezes them. Different kinds, but these are really nice for if you do a lot of one particular engine. So I'm making one more check, make sure my numbers is up, my gaps are away from each other, and we're going to put this in here and make sure that I'm going to turn that just a bit. And set that right down in there, right like that. And these like to start crooked sometimes, is the only thing about them. So we'll get it up on there a little bit more even. This is going to show its butt today because I'm making a video. See, I'm not even. Let's see where we're at now. Still not going in even. Let's pull it out, and we want to make sure that our rings are staying in the grooves, and they are. So didn't have any problems yesterday with the other 7, but the one I'm filming is wanting to give me a fit. That's about normal in the life of a movie star. Alright, we've got some kind of issue going on because this should slide right down in there with no problems. This thing is tapered. It's supposed to be wider at the top. That's why I'm letting this tilt a little bit. And not sure why that is giving me such. Well, I do know because I'm trying to film this. That's exactly why it's trying to show its butt. But it is really trying to be a pain today. Like I say, yesterday all 7 went right down in there smooth as silk, and naturally the day that you're going to try to show somebody something is the day that it doesn't want to cooperate with you. There we go, finally. Alright, so now got to turn our F to the front. F to the front. And it doesn't matter that it's upside down. All of them's upside down. And so then we just push it in, get it set up. There we go. So now that we've got it in, what we've got to do now, it won't fall out, is we've got to guide it, guide our rod, our connecting rod, hope you can see that, down onto this. So we're going to gently push it down. I'm guiding it with my hands. Notice I'm guiding it here with my hands, guiding it in there. We don't want it grabbing the rod. Definitely don't want it hitting and nicking the crank. There we go. We're set. So now we've got to get this up here where we can put our rod on it, or our rod cap on it, I should say. And let's go back a little bit. And there we go. Making sure that's clean. Lining up our tang to our tang. This one will be here. So we're going to line those up. Put that in like that. Get our bolts. Again, don't spaz out. Just barely running, I'm just barely doing that. And so, just enough to get it snug. These torque to 60 foot-pounds, so we're going to go 20, 40, 60. All of these are torqued. I've not marked them yet, but they are torqued. And so, we will put our socket on here. Turn our torque wrench on. Set it for angle. Now that's set for 60. We don't want 60. 20 should be in here somewhere. And maybe not on this one. So we'll go back to 20. And now we will torque these to 20. And we'll go 40 foot-pounds. Maybe that'll help you see it. 40. Again, going slow. That way we can be more accurate with our torque. Now we're going to go to 60. 60. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'm having to lean a little bit. I got a bad angle. 60.1. Now what I like to do is at least double, I double check everything. Make sure that one's at 60. And I'll go over these again and then mark them, but that's 60. So now we have got it installed. Here's what I like to do after every piston that I put in, every single one of them, I turn the engine over, and that way that I can make sure that everything turns smooth, no problems. Everything is smooth here. Turn it over a couple of times, and I do this after each one of these. That way if I've got a problem, if I've got 5 in and when I put number 6 in, all of a sudden I got a problem, then I know number 6 was my problem. If you wait till the end, you don't know which one of these 8 is causing your issue. And so, there we go. So now you have installed a piston. One other thing that I'm going to show you how to check is the rod-to-rod journal clearance. There's got to be some clearance in here. They can't constantly be rubbing. So, our specs on this one I think is something like 16 to 25. We will take our feeler gauges and let's start out. Most of these were between 19 and I think 23, something like that. So let's start out with 17. We'll start out with 17. You want to go dead in the center. 17, plenty of clearance. Let's try 21. I'm going to try 21. 21 will go. So we'll go up 2 more to 23. 23 is getting tight. So we'll try 25 and then After that, if 25 don't go, then we'll try 24. 25 will not go. So let's go over to our even side, and we'll get a 24. These are labeled 24 thousandths. Hopefully you can see that. Let's see if we can get a 24 to go. 24 goes. So we've got 24 thousandths clearance between those. So now we've checked our rod journal, our rod clearance between the rods. So we'll record that in our book, and you have now installed a piston in this engine, and we'll take a look at it from right here and let you watch it go up and down. I'll label it as the number 8. Let's clean it up a little bit. There we go. Now something I'm going to show you is how to check the deck height of the piston. This comes into play for compression. Found a problem on this engine. The pistons are coming up too close to the deck here. Going to have too much compression, so we're going to have to address that. So the way we do that, we take our dial indicator, and we're going to put it right here. I try to keep the magnets off the piston, and I usually use this outer edge right here, that edge right there. Let me see if I can do this where you guys can see it a little better. Let's see if we can maneuver around a little better here. I'm going to tighten. Let's tighten this up just a little bit. I noticed it won't move around a little. There we go. Okay, so we've got it. Now we're going to do it the same way as we have been. Take that piston down just so you can see it. We will bring it up until the dial indicator quits moving. And right there. So that is top dead center. That's as high as that piston's going to come. That's it. It won't come anymore. It'll start back down. So now we've got to measure our deck height to our piston height. The way we do that is with a depth micrometer, and I will set this up. I'm going to measure my deck first, and hopefully you can see that I'm exactly 1,000th past 0, 1,000, 1 mark past 0. So let's take it over here, and we're going to line it up with that and see how much it moves. And it moved to 7. So we had 1. So 7 minus 1 is 6 thousandths. We got 6 thousandths deck height there. Now the way I like to do it though is to rock this piston. Did you see that come up? If you watch this, you can watch it rock. So now we're up. So let's do it again. Again, we're 1,000ths. We're going to come over here, and you'll notice I've got rock in that. That's because this piston is actually coming above the deck of the block. So if I measure my piston is 1,000. Now I come over here and I move about 1,000. These pistons are about 1,000th above the deck of the block, which is a no-no. I don't mind a 0 deck, and if it wasn't for compression we could get by with that, because our head gaskets here are about 39 to 41 thousandths thick. Piston wouldn't hit the head, we'd have enough clearance, but we're going to have too much compression. This engine is going to be supercharged. Right now with these pistons like that, it's about 11 to 1, 11.04 to 1, I think. The wrong pistons were ordered. Customer got all the parts. Wrong pistons were ordered, and we're going to have to get some that are made different. But that's why you check all this stuff. See, that doesn't look like there's anything wrong with it, and there's not. If this engine was naturally aspirated and going to be in a race car or a drag car or something, it'd make good power, but not on a supercharged car. So we've got to address that. And so now you have installed a piston. You know the correct way to do that. Hope you learned something, and thanks for watching.